This story is about a black girl who is tired of being invisible at work. It is about the day her quiet anger slowly turned into courage. Her name is Maya. Every morning, Maya wakes up before the sun. She takes a deep breath, looks in the mirror and says, "You can do this." Then she dresses in her neat office clothes, fixes her hair and leaves for work. Maya works in a big office with bright lights and cold air. She is the only black woman on her team every day. She sits at her desk with her laptop open. Her screen is full of emails, reports, and numbers. Her mind is full of ideas, but the room is full of people who do not really see her. When there is a problem, they call Maya. When someone needs help, they call Maya. When there is extra work, they send it to her inbox. But when there is praise, her name is suddenly missing many times. Maya gives ideas in meetings. She speaks clearly. Even when her voice is a little shaky, her boss nods, but does not write anything down. Later, another co-worker repeats the same idea. This time, the boss smiles and says, "Great point." At first, Maya tells herself it is not a big deal. She says, "Maybe they did not hear me." She works harder, stays later, sends longer emails. Still, nothing changes. Deep inside, something starts to feel heavy. Like a stone in her chest, she wonders, is it me? Or is it them? She does not know the answer yet. But she can feel one thing very clearly. A line is slowly being drawn inside her. And one day soon, someone is going to cross it. The line inside Maya kept getting darker, day by day, word by word, silence by silence. Then one Monday morning, everything changed. Maya walked into the office and felt it right away. The air was different. People were whispering in small groups. Eyes were bright, screens were open, voices were fast. Her boss stood in the middle of the room with a big smile. "Big news," he said, clapping his hands. "We just got a huge client. This project could change everything for this company." Maya's heart started to beat faster, not from happiness, but from pressure. She already knew this meant more work, more late nights, more weight on her shoulders. Her boss called her name from across the room. "Maya, can you stay after the team meeting?" His voice was sweet, too sweet, like someone who wants something from you. In the meeting, he talked about the client, the money, the future. He said they needed perfect research, clean numbers, fresh ideas. As he spoke, his eyes kept landing on Maya. Not in a kind way, in a heavy way, like he was already placing the whole project on her back. After the meeting, everyone left. Maya stayed behind like he asked. He closed the door halfway and lowered his voice. He told her she was smart, detail-oriented, a hard worker, words that sounded nice but felt like chains. Then he said it, "Maya, I want you to do the groundwork for this project. Research, reports, first draft of the plan. You're good at that back-end stuff." Back-end stuff, invisible stuff, silent hero work. She nodded slowly. Even though her stomach was tight, she knew this project was big. She knew it could expose every unfair thing on that team. She just didn't know yet that it would also expose something inside her. Something she could never push down again. For 2 weeks, Maya lived inside that project. Her days were full of numbers and notes. Her nights were full of glowing screens. While the city slept, she was still typing. She checked every detail. She fixed every mistake. She built the plan from the ground up, slide by slide, page by page. Sometimes, at 3 in the morning, her eyes burned and her back hurt. She would lean back in her chair and whisper, "This will be worth it. They will finally see me." When she was done, The plan was strong, the numbers were clear. The story made sense, even she felt proud of it. She sent it to her boss with a careful email. Explaining each part, he replied with just 2 words. Got it, on the day of the big client meeting. Maya wore her best blazer. She tied her hair back. Her hands were shaking, but her heart had hope. This could be her moment. She walked into the meeting room. The lights felt too bright. The table felt too long. Everyone was already seated. Her boss stood at the front with the remote in his hand. When the first slide appeared on the screen, her smile slowly faded. The title was there. The logo was there. The plan was there. Her work was there, but her name was nowhere. Underprepared by, she saw only her boss's name, and the name of another co-worker, someone who had not stayed late, someone who had not done the deep work. Her chest felt tight. Her ears started to ring. She stared at the screen, feeling like a ghost in her own story. She told herself to breathe, to stay calm, to wait. Maybe he would mention her. Maybe he would give her credit in front of everyone. But as the meeting began, with every word he said, with every slide he clicked, it became clear he was taking her work and wearing it like a suit, and Maya had no idea that this was only the beginning of the disrespect. The worst part was still on its way. The meeting moved like a train that would not stop, slide after slide, number after number, praise after praise, all going to the wrong people. Maya sat there, quiet. Her hands were folded on the table. Her heart was loud in her chest, but her mouth stayed shut. When the client asked a question, her boss answered with her words. The same words she had written in her notes. The same ideas she had explained in her email. He did not even look at her. Then it happened. A small detail on one of the slides was wrong. The number was old, not updated. Maya saw it the second it appeared. She had fixed that number last night. She had sent the update. She knew it. The client frowned. This number doesn't match the report we have. The room went cold. Eyes turned to the screen, then slowly to her boss. Her boss did not take a breath, did not check his email, did not say, "Let me look into it." He simply turned his head and looked straight at Maya. "Maya," he said, in that sharp, fake, calm voice, "did you mess this up?" The whole table turned to her. Her cheeks burned, her throat felt dry, but she spoke clearly. "I sent the corrected file last night," she said. "You didn't use the latest version." For a second, there was silence, a thin, fragile silence. Her boss could have said, "Oh, my mistake." He could have taken the blame. He did not. He exhaled, rolled his eyes, and then said the sentence that cracked something deep inside her. "You people always have an excuse." The words hit the table like a slap. The client shifted in their chair. Someone coughed softly. Someone looked down at their notes. No one said a word. Maya stared at him. Her ears were buzzing. Her hands were shaking. Not from fear this time, from anger she felt every time she had been talked over. Every idea stolen, every long night, every fake smile. And in that moment, she knew something. She was not going to swallow this one, not this time, not ever again. The room was still ringing from those words. You people always have an excuse. Maya sat there. Her heart was beating so loud she could hear it in her ears. Her hands were flat on the table. Her eyes were locked on her boss. For a long second, she did nothing. She said nothing. She just breathed. She looked around the room. The client looked uncomfortable. One co-worker stared at the table. Another pretended to read his notes. No one spoke up. No one said. That's not okay. Maya felt something inside her rise. Not like a small feeling, like a wave, a strong, final wave. She remembered all the times she had stayed silent, all the times she had laughed at rude jokes to keep the peace, all the times she had told herself, let it go, you need this job. But this time, her spirit said, no, slowly, very calmly. Maya reached forward and closed her laptop. The soft click sounded louder than any word. Her boss frowned. What are you doing? He asked, trying to laugh. Trying to make it small, Maya stood up. Her chair moved back with a sharp scrape. Every head turned toward her. She felt her legs shaking, but her voice, when it came out, was steady. She looked straight at her boss and said, I did this work. I fixed that number. You used the wrong file and tried to blame me in front of everyone. The room went quiet. Her boss opened his mouth. Now is not the time, Maya, he said. We can talk about this later. She shook her head. No, she replied. Later is how you keep people quiet. Later is how nothing changes. Her chest felt light and heavy at the same time. Her next words felt like they were coming from a deeper place inside her. I will not sit here and be disrespected, she said, not as a worker, and not as a black woman. Her boss's face changed. His smile was gone. He sounded cold now. Be careful, Maya, he said. Jobs like this don't come easy for people like you. She looked at him one last time, and then she said the words that shocked the whole room. Keep the job, I quit. Then she picked up her laptop, her notebook, her pen, and while everyone watched in total silence, Maya turned, walked to the door, and left the meeting before anyone could stop her, before anyone could rewrite her story. But her story did not end in that hallway. It was only just beginning. The door closed behind Maya with a soft click. On the other side of that door, her old life was still talking, still pretending, still lying. On her side of the door, everything was quiet. She walked down the hallway like she was in a dream. Her legs felt light, her chest felt tight. She could hear her own footsteps on the floor, tap, 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 like a drum leading her away from everything she knew. In the elevator, she finally let out the breath she was holding. Her hands were shaking, her stomach was turning. A voice in her head started screaming. What did you just do? You need money, you have bills. You have responsibilities. When the elevator doors opened, she walked out of the building. The air outside felt different, warmer, real. She sat on a bench near the street and dropped her bag beside her. For the first time that day, she let herself feel everything. Fear came first, big and loud. What if she never found another job? What if no one believed her story? What if her old boss ruined her name in the industry? Then another feeling slipped in. Small at first, soft but strong, freedom. She realized no one was calling her name. No one was sending her fake urgent emails. No one was rolling their eyes at her. She was not trapped in that cold room anymore. Her phone buzzed, message after message. Co-workers texting her. Some said, "Are you okay?" Some said, "I can't believe you did that." One message stood out. "I wish I had the courage to do what you just did." Then came an email from her boss, cold and formal. He wrote about unprofessional behavior. He mentioned company records. He hinted that leaving like that could follow her in the future. Maya stared at the screen. For a moment, fear tried to take over again. But then she remembered his words in that meeting. You people always have an excuse. She remembered how it felt to say, "I quit," right there on that bench. She made a quiet promise to herself. She would rather start from zero than go back to a place that tried to make her feel like nothing. She did not know how yet. She did not know when. But somewhere deep inside, a new life was already waiting for her. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months at first. Life after quitting was not easy for Maya. Her savings were small. Her fear was big. Some mornings she woke up and wondered if she made a huge mistake. But every time she remembered that meeting, every time she heard those words again in her mind, "You people always have an excuse," she knew she could never go back. She started applying for jobs. Dozens of applications, so many forms, so many we went with another candidate emails. Each rejection hurt, but none of them hurt as much as staying in that room would have. To survive, she picked up small freelance work, helping small businesses with reports, helping students with presentations. All the skills she used to give away for cheap in that office, she was now using for herself. Slowly, something shifted. People started to recommend her. One client told another. Her name began to travel in quiet, powerful ways. One day, she got an email from a company she had almost ignored. The subject line was simple: "We loved your story." Not resume, not just skills. When she opened it, she saw that someone from that company had worked with one of her freelance clients. They had seen her work. They had heard how she left her last job, not as a problem, but as a woman who refused disrespect in the interview. Her new manager looked her in the eye and said, "We want people who speak up. We don't punish honesty here." The office was different. More faces that looked like hers, more voices that sounded like truth. When she shared an idea in a meeting, they wrote it down. They said her name with it. Months later, Maya walked past a glass door and saw her reflection. Not small, not scared, not invisible. She saw a woman who chose herself, even when it cost her. She did not just quit a job that day. She quit shrinking. She quit begging for respect. She walked out of a room that was never built for her, so she could build a life that was. Would you have stayed in that room or walked out too? If this story touched your heart and you want more powerful stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the Black Girl Narrative and turn on the bell.